Welcome to Wildlife Exposed, the channel for all things nature. Today we're counting down the top 10 non-native freshwater fish in the UK. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. For this list, we're looking at species of fish that are not originally from the British Isles. This video is supported by the Canal River Trust, a UK-based charity that manages over 2,000 miles of canals and rivers. The trust help the many people who use the canal for work, leisure, and of course its wildlife. Let's get started. Number 10. Carp. Introduced into Britain in the 15th century by monks, it was because of their hardiness and quickly packing on the weight that they could be kept in stew ponds ready for a Friday dinner. It wasn't until the 20th century that the explosion of carp angling really took off, and this fish was stocked all over the country. Carp come in many forms, from mirror carp, common carp and koi. They all are the same species. Carp are on the edge of their spawning limits in the UK, needing the water to reach between 18 and 20 degrees for successful spawning, so in more northern parts of Britain they may not spawn every year. Although they don't hibernate, in the winter carp go into torpor and become less mobile and often stay near the lake bed. Number 9. Pumpkinseed. A small American species, they were brought over to the UK for the aquarium trade but quickly found a way into lakes. They're not a widespread invasive, in England mostly found in the south. Part of the sunfish family, so called because of their fondness for basking in the shallows and margins of ponds. They don't grow large, with specimens rarely getting bigger than a few ounces, but large numbers of them can displace local fish populations, and their predatory nature can mean they outcompete local species. Number 8. Top Mouth Gudgeon. Sometimes known as a stone morocco and clicker barb, these small Asian cyprinids can be real trouble. They feature on the IUCN Top 100 invasive species in the world list. Despite their small size, they're a big problem. Unlike other fish species in Britain, they breed all year round and quickly push out native species and feed on fish eggs and fry. Number 7. Sunbleak. In contrast to its invasive status in the UK, they are considered rare or vulnerable throughout much of its native range in Eastern Europe. It's mostly a surface-feeding fish, found primarily in the southwest of England. They group up in large shoals and sometimes called motherless minnows, owing to the fact that they will appear in ponds after they have dried up, though this is because their eggs are drought resistant and survive in the damp mud. Number 6. Bitterling. Perhaps having the most unique way of breeding of any fish in Britain, the brightly coloured males search for a freshwater mussel and wait for a female to lay her eggs inside of it. He then fertilises them. The young will stay in the mussel for up to a month before leaving the safety of its gill chamber. Bitterling don't grow big, only a few inches, but can form large shoals, often hanging around weeds and feeding on plant matter and small invertebrates. Despite being non-native, Bitterling have a low impact on native fish and are nationally rare, but can be abundant in localised pockets. This species of fish was once used for human pregnancy tests. Female specimens were injected with the urine of the woman to be tested. If the woman was pregnant, the hormones in the urine would cause the fish's ovipositors to protrude. Number 5. Wels Catfish. 70 of these tadpole-looking critters were introduced by the Duke of Bedford into Woburn Abbey lakes over 130 years ago, and some by legal and many illegal releases are now found all over England in many fishing lakes and worryingly some rivers. They are apex predators, reaching sizes of 246 pounds in the Spanish Ebro. While in Britain, our colder climate limits the growth but can still reach 100 pounds. Although they look slow moving, Wels catfish are efficient hunters and use their large barbules to sense prey, even in murky water at night. The dorsal fin is somewhat of a joke, serving very little purpose. Wels will build a nest and guard it, having up to 100,000 eggs, though on average only 10% will survive. Number 4. Goldfish. One of the best known fish, they originally came from China as a wild carp. Every now and then, a freak of nature would appear with golden or yellow colour. Fish like these would normally get eaten by predators, but Buddhist monks who bred the carp for food would keep these brightly coloured carp in mercy ponds, where they would breed together and produce more little fish, thus the goldfish was born. Although they easily can be seen by predators, it doesn't stop them taking over ponds and interbreeding with carp and crucians, polluting the natural gene pool. The collective now for goldfish is a troubling, and some of them that are kept in the right conditions can live up to 45 years old. The 5-second memory is also a myth, as experiments have proven that they can remember up to 3 months and even be taught tricks. Number 3. Grass carp. The slender looking carp species was actually introduced to Britain on purpose as a means of weed control. The carp eat large quantities of aquatic plants, which can damage boat propellers if left unchecked. The conditions for spawning in the UK aren't right for them, so they don't breed, needing a warm, constant flow of water. Although they mostly eat weeds, they will take anglers' baits and are known to be a hard-fighting fish. Although called a carp, it's only distantly related to the common carp and is the only member of its family. They have also become a popular pond fish, though because of their vegan habits, aren't always best with water plants. Number 2. Rainbow trout. Introduced to the UK from North America in the early 20th century, the rainbow trout can now be found in every continent except Antarctica. The vast majority of rainbow trout are triploids, which are stocked into fishing lakes. These fish have 3 chromosomes instead of the normal 2, so are incapable of breeding. There is, however, some populations of spawning rainbows in Britain, most notably the Derbyshire Y, where they found their way by accident over 100 years ago, and have since become established, though cause little impact on the native brown trout and grayling. Unlike brown trout, the Y rainbows are spring spawners and have a heavy spotted pattern. They have a form that runs to sea called the steelhead, which can reach sizes of 50 pounds. They take on a more silver colour when out at sea. Number 1. Zander. Another introduction by the Duke of Bedford in the late 1800s, Zander was stocked from Germany into Woburn Abbey lakes. From there they would be put into the Cambridgeshire drains, and then many fish got transported by anglers into the Midland canals and rivers like the Severn, Thames and Trent. Sometimes known as pipe perch, they are in fact their own species, but are a member of the perch family. Large eyes help them hunt in the darkness and murk of waterways, and have large fangs to help them grip prey. A prized eating fish in continental Europe, they are similar to bass in taste. They will form shoals together and have large, spiky dorsal fins. Large numbers of zander can affect prey fish numbers, but the cannibalistic nature of zander means that the bigger ones often control the smaller ones, not to mention pike, which will feed on young zander. Thanks for watching, and why not check out the other videos on the channel. Don't forget to comment, like and subscribe. Cheers.